What's going on, all my fellow members of the Asgardian League of Fantasy? It's your loyal commish coming at you this Sunday morning with our Week 8 recap. Yeah, I know I've been waiting till like the last minute to do these and post them, but it's been busy over here. The little baby Lane turns 1 tomorrow. Yeah, she's looking at me now. She's down here playing with her sister while I do this. Don't let her put that in the mouth. I'm still supervising, so don't worry. But we're gonna go ahead and get this over with pretty quick so that I can get back to Papa duties. Um, in our first matchup, we had Eric taking on me, and he won pretty decisively, 58 points. Melvin took out Brad, really out behind the woodshed and just beat him down. 87 points. Jansen took on Carden, and that was a 9-point victory for Josh Jansen. I'm going to have to go ahead and give the bench player of the week to Gus Edwards. 28.4 points, 94 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Would have won Brian the game. Then we had Matt Murphy taking out Pops by 25 points. And Brian Smith taking out Russell by 26 points. And there was really no big name, like big guys in any other matchups. So I'm going to have to go offensive and defensive MVPs in this game for Mr. Smith. Offensive MVP being CeeDee Lamb, who I've really appreciated his contributions to my fantasy team in another league, trying to keep me afloat and whatnot. He had 41 points on 12 catches, 158 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And then on defensive side of the ball, we had TJ Edwards with a 31-point showing with 13 total tackles and 1 forced fumble. Or not a forced fumble, but a fumble recovery. I mean, those two guys really just leading the way. I mean, I think without them, he probably loses that matchup with Russell over there. So, moving on, we're going to talk about some Rookie of the Year and Player of the Year candidates, just updates, just to see where they are. Offensively, for rookies, I'm looking at starts, I'm looking at total points. Defensively, I'm just looking at points, really. Not a lot of rookie defensive players get starts, and some of them are on rosters, some of them aren't. So we'll see what happens after our little update here. Maybe some of them get picked up and some of them don't. But anyway, we've got number 1 on the list, Puka Nacua. 153.9 points and been started 7 weeks out of the 8. Jordan Addison, 134.4 points with 6 starts, and Sam Laporta, 113.4 points, starting all 8 games for Eric Bray at the tight end position. We've got a few defensive backs as the baby is just going to town on some silicone blocks. Devin Witherspoon, Tyreek Stevenson or Terrence Stevens, I don't remember what his name is, T. Stevenson, and Brian Branch leading the way for the rookie defensive players. Witherspoon with 113, Stevenson 102, and Brian Branch 91 points on the year. They're leading the way for rookies, but you'll see in a minute why a lot of the rookies and defensive backs don't get a lot of starts. When we get to the defensive side of Player of the Year, all these guys, Player of the Year, they're getting started week in and week out because they're your superstars. On the offensive side, we've got Tyreek Hill with 223.8 points, CMC with 200.4 points, and Josh Allen with 198.5 points. On the defensive side of the ball, we've got Oluokun with 198 points, Zaire Franklin with 194 points, and Quincy Williams with 182 points. Um, just basically, they almost double what the rookie defensive players are putting out. So it completely makes sense as to why defensive backs and rookie defensive players don't get a lot of starts, just because we only start two. But it is what it is. Um, Moving on, I know I gave some, playoff insight earlier in the year, but I think now after 8 weeks, the picture is kind of solidifying itself, and I'm gonna call these my stone cold lock predictions for the playoffs. You mark it down. Week 8. This is what I believe will be the playoff seedings and all that stuff. I'm just flipping back to week 3 so I can compare um, what I've got. So before in week 3, I said, early on it looked like Melvin, Eric, Pops, myself, Matt Murphy, and Josh Jansen going to be the 6th in the playoffs with Josh Russell, the two Bryans, and Brad on the outskirts. And moving on to now, Melvin and Eric holding true at 1 and 2. I don't think that's gonna change. Murphy right now is in the second seed, but without Cooper Kupp to throw the ball, without Matthew Stafford to throw the ball to Cooper Kupp, I think he's gonna slide down a little bit, and that's where I have him at number 3, followed by myself. I'm consistently putting up decent amount of points every week. It's just a couple different matchups get me here and there, and I think over the course of the season that's going to even out, and I'm going to be right there in the middle of the playoff picture and seeding. Number 5, coming up into the playoffs from previous projection, Brian Smith. At I shouldn't have traded you Cooper Kupp, bro. I'm not gonna lie. I should have held on to him there for a little bit. Right now, I believe you're sitting up in the 3rd spot. But same as Murphy without Stafford to throw the ball to Puka. I think you're gonna fall a little bit, and a couple people are gonna overtake you. And number 6 coming up into the playoffs from the outskirts is Josh Russell. Had a couple of bad weeks, some bad luck, getting outscored just, barely in a couple weeks. But you've got a high amount of points scored, and I think over time that's just going to even out, and you'll end up, right there on the playoffs, in the playoffs. And then, so number 7, number 8, we've got Josh Jansen, Brian Carton. Jansen falling out of the playoffs. I don't think you got the depth. We'll see what happens. You're probably gonna prove me wrong. That's just how it works. 8 and 9, we've got Brian Carton and Pops falling out of the playoffs. I don't get it. Your team is stacked, and it's just not hit in certain weeks, and you've lost games that you probably shouldn't have. But there's a bit of luck that goes to it. And then in last place is Brad. It's still Brad. It's always been Brad. Had a decent team, had some good depth, and you blew it up. So, we'll see how it plays out. There's still 6 more weeks left in the season. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Yeah, 6. And we'll see what happens. And last but not least, we've got our Week 9 preview. Myself, favored against Brad, according to our projections. Carden against J-Rust, with J-Rust favored. Jansen versus Melvin. Melvin's favored. Smith and Murphy. That's it's really a 50-50 according to the projections. I think Smith is projected by like 1 more point. And then in our final matchup, Pops versus Eric. Eric is favored, but he's scared just because, for whatever reason, Um, he made the comment the other day, for whatever reason, whenever he plays up against Papa Bear, um, the porridge is too hot, I guess, if you want to go with the Goldilocks reference. So, we'll see what happens, and good luck to all you guys in week 9, except for Brad. Um, that's just how it is. I'm always going to wish bad luck to my competitor. Other than that, I hope you all have a good week coming up, and we'll see you next week with the week 9 recap.